Hello, this video talks about the rise of fascism. What is fascism and how is it different from communism? Who are some of the fascist leaders? This video is split into 5 parts and I go over the definitions of fascism, the key fascist leaders, and what makes fascism different than communism. Part 1. What were the key characteristics of fascism and what is a definition of fascism? Fascism is a far-right political ideology. Fascists reject democracy and often use propaganda and violence to maintain control. Here are 5 key characteristics of fascist leadership. You have authoritarianism and suppression of dissent. You have extreme nationalism and often emphasized by racial superiority. There is militarism and the glorification of war. There is centralized control of the economy and society. And fascist leaders are usually anti-communist and anti-liberalism. Topic number 2, Benito Mussolini. Mussolini was known as the father of fascism. He founded fascism movement in Italy in the early 20th century. Mussolini ruled as prime minister from 1922 to 1943 and established a totalitarian regime. Mussolini's policies focused on nationalism, militarism, and the suppression of political dissent. In 1934, Hitler and Mussolini met for the first time in Venice. Hitler, eager to impress, dressed in an overly elaborate uniform and spoke passionately about his vision of Germany. Mussolini found him overly theatrical and exhausting, later describing him as a mad little clown. Despite this awkward first meeting, their alliance grew stronger, especially after Italy's invasion of Ethiopia in 1935, when Hitler offered diplomatic support against the League of Nations sanctions. Part 3, Adolf Hitler. Hitler was the leader of the Nationalist Socialist German Workers' Party, also known as the Nazi Party. He rose to power in 1933 as Germany's Chancellor and later Führer. His fascist regime was marked by extreme nationalism, militarism, and the Holocaust, which led to the genocide of 6 million Jews and millions of other victims. Hitler's expansionist policies triggered World War II, and in 1939 Mussolini and Hitler formalized their alliance through the Pact of Steel, committing their countries to mutual defense. Mussolini agreed reluctantly, knowing Italy wasn't ready for a major war. In private, Mussolini often complained about Hitler's aggressive expansionism, calling him uncontrollable. Part 4, Franco of Spain. Franco led a fascist military revolt during the Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 1939 and established a dictatorship that lasted until his death in 1975. His regime established traditionalism, Catholicism, and authoritarian control while suppressing opposition. During the Spanish Civil War, both Hitler and Mussolini supported Franco's nationalist forces against the Republicans. Germany provided air support, notably the bombing of Guernica, while Italy sent troops and equipment. Franco's victory was partially due to their assistance. Despite their help, Franco was hesitant to fully align with the Axis powers during World War II. In 1940, Hitler met Franco in France to persuade him to join the war. After hours of negotiations, Franco made extensive demands for supplies and territories in exchange for entering the war. Hitler later complained, "I'd rather have 3 or 4 of my teeth pulled than go through that again." Part 5, Key differences between fascism and communism. I put everything in a table to make it easy to understand. So under focus, for fascism, you have nationalism and loyalty to the state. But under communism, you have class equality and a stateless, classless society. For their economic system, fascism allows private property but controls industries. Under communism, there's the abolishment of private property and resources are shared. Their political system, under fascism, it's authoritarian and ruled by a dictator. Under communism, it's authoritarian in practice but aims for equality. The social hierarchy of fascism is that it embraces inequality and hierarchy, and under communism, it aims to eliminate hierarchy. And lastly, who is the main enemy? Well, under fascism, you have communists, liberals, and ethnic groups, and under communism, the main enemy are capitalists and the wealthy. Fascism, with its authoritarian grip and nationalist fervor, shapes some of the darkest chapters in modern history. Its leaders, driven by ambition and ideology, left behind legacies of control, conflict, and human suffering.